today we will continue from last week. It's about the inventory management, and we have left mainly about the safety stock, right? And interval period model, single period model, and ABC analysis. Not much, but there's something that involve about the statistics. So that's why I want to switch safety stock from last week to this week. ขอบคุณนะไม่รู้มีแต่ทำอะไรกัน Okay, let's start with the safety stock. Okay, if you remember, right, that okay, I'm gonna go back a little bit. Okay, remember about the reader point last week? Last week about reader point. And from the other points last week that we discussed, it's like let's say this is a real point, right? And when the demand is going down and is reached to the other point or below, actually, in this case, we're gonna make it order, right? And then we're waiting around lead time, right? And once the time equal to lead time, the inventory level can be 0, and then we immediately receive the order that we had made, right? So the level of inventory gonna going up to Q again. So this is what we studied last week. But in this case, we can see that there is one assumption that we can analyze, right, the reader points regarding to the demand rate and the lead time, and we tell that okay, reader points can be equal to the demands multiplied with lead time. But this option, the assumption that we have is about demand, the demand rate during the time period lead time is constant and we know. Okay. So let's say, if you remember that, let's say demand rate is 3 units per day. We have the lead time 4 days, right? So we need to have reader point around 12, right? So when the inventory level reaches 12, we make an order, and we're waiting for 4 days, inventory is run out, but we're getting the order back, right? But this is the assumption that demand during the lead time period is constant and we know. But what happens if demand during this lead time is not that constant, right? If it's not constant, we have the problem. Okay, if the demands go to this from here and then go to here, at the lead time period here, we have left, right? We have the remaining inventory, that's okay. But what happens if the demands going like this? From this, it's not going this, but it's go like this. So we run all the inventory at the time before we reach the lead time, right? So in this case, we can have the big problem. This might be have the problem of shortage or stock out, because we don't have inventory enough to provide on, right, the time period of lead time. So in this case, it's gonna adapt into the concept of safety stock. Okay, for the safety stock that we're gonna study here, we need something of like an inventory that we store in order to make sure that we can use it to support the demand, actually about the uncertainty demands, right? So the safety stock is about the additional stock, right, that we keep on hand, but we want to use this to support the demand that is higher than what we are expected. But anyway, if the demand is very high or too high, the safety stock is used up, and we're gonna have problem of stock out for sure. So in this case, I want you to keep in mind that if we have safety stock, it doesn't mean that we're gonna play safe for the stock out, right? Even though we have the safety stock, we still have the probability to have the stock out. But safety stock actually at least can help us to support the unexpected demand for a time period, for a very short time. And as I show you from previous slide that if the demand during the time is not constant, or the lead time is not constant as well, maybe the real point is not just using the demand rate multiplied with lead time, but we need some stock out, right, to be the additional stock that used to support or serve for that unexpected demand. So the way that we're gonna solve for safety stock, we're gonna use the formulation of the way that we do the formulation of the formula of Wheeler point, right? Wheeler point is equal to demand multiplied with lead time and plus safety stock. This is the case that demand is not constant. Demand and lead time, demand during lead time is not constant, right? So we need to have the safety stock. So we're gonna use this one to calculate. But last week we used just this first term. But for this week, since the demand during the time may be not constant, right? So we're gonna have the problem of stock out cost. So we can add in one term, and this term we call safety stock. But the way that we gonna solve for the safety stock is not that easy because they have the condition that the safety stock, in the case that we know the stock out cost or we don't know about the stock out cost. Let's start with the first one, the safety stock with known stock out cost. In this case, I need to tell you that when the stock out, we consider in the case that we know the stock out cost, we can use the concept of decision making under risk. But you didn't study the decision making under risk yet because it's in the another course. Okay, it's for the analytical modeling. But I can show you, they're not difficult. So let's see how can we dealing with the find the safety stock in the case that we know stock out cost. Okay. Normally, we're gonna compare right between the stock out cost and carrying cost. Right. You can see that if right the real point is used to place in order only the time as stock out can occur is during the lead time. So it means the stock out can occur before we reach the lead time, right? So in this case, we need to know about the probability of demand during lead time, right? And the cost of stock out cost is we're gonna consider to compare right, with the carrying cost, and then we can calculate by using the decision making under risk. So I will show you how can we do that. Okay, assume that we have demand during the time. Demand during the time we use DDLT. Right? And in the case of known stock out cost, we need to assume that the demand during the time will follow by the discrete probability distribution. Discrete is mean not continuous. Right? Let's say demand equals to 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, something like that. But it's not the continuous number, and not have the decimal point, not the fraction. It's just the discrete number, right? And the cost of the stock out is include all the costs, both direct and indirect, right? And for sure, as I mentioned, we're going to use the concept of decision making under risk. Okay, decision making under risk. So in order to make you more understanding, I'm going to show you about how can we dealing with the decision making under risk. For example, let's say that okay, I'm going to use another slide, so it's maybe better for you. Don't worry, this one actually you're going to study with me. But I just want to show you something. Okay. Okay. It's tight, sorry. Say. Okay, here. Okay, why don't you show you something, okay? You're gonna study this again, okay? Now, I want to show you what is the decision making at the risk, okay? Normally, decision making, there are three types of the decision making, okay? When you try to analyze and make a decision, right? Firstly, you need to list all the alternatives, right? And the next one is that you need to expect the future outcome, right? The future circumstance, for example. For example, alternative, let's say that you're gonna launch the new product, okay, and you don't know or you have no idea which promotion that you're gonna apply. Let's say you have three alternatives. The first one is 10% off, the second one is buy one, get one free, and the third one is give the small example from product. This is an alternative. But for outcome, right, or the future circumstance, it might be that, okay, no matter what you select which alternative, you're gonna have the outcome of that selection. For example, you're gonna have high demand, low demand, or customer, something like that. High demand, low demand, or you can think about the favorable of your product or unfavorable of your product, something like that. And then, so decision making under risk is mean you have different alternatives, right? And for each alternative, you have different outcome, and you can estimate the probability for each outcome. Right? So in the real world, it means you try to using the expert person to expect, okay, this alternative, when we select for the demand scoring high, we expect to have 60% demand scoring, going low is maybe 40%. Right? 60 and 40 come from what? Come from expert person, from the experience. It's very subjective. Okay. So I'm going to show you this example. Wait, just real fast, and then going to go back to the inventory to explain you why we need to this one. Let's say that we have the restaurant, right, that try to open the new branch on the main street. They try to arrange the seating capacity, right? There are three different models, right? And also the restaurant also estimate the average number of customers per hour that they're gonna have with the restaurant. So in this case, the seating capacity, they have three different models, right? Model A, B, and C. A, B, and C means each model have the different type of layout for range of the seating capacity and seating of in the restaurant, and they have the different capacity. If the average number of customers is 60 customers per hour, right? If you arrange model A, you're gonna getting the payoff 200,000, model B 180, model C 220,000. If the average number of customers can be 80, you're gonna have 250, 220, and 240, something like that. And 100, you're gonna have 300, 320, and 280. Okay. So in this case, let's say that we have we know about the probabilities. We expect that the probability of average number of customers that be 60, 80, and 100 is going to be 0.4, 0.3, and 0.8 respectively. So the problem is decision making and the risk, because you can know about the probability of outcome. This is the outcome, right? Average number of customers come to your restaurant, 60 customers per hour, 80 customers per hour, and 100 customers per hour. And you expect that this case gonna have the probability to happen 0.4, this case 30%, 0.3, and this case 30%, 0.3. The way that we analyze, this is the decision making and the risk, okay, because we have the different alternatives, we have different outcomes, and each outcome you can expect about the probability. The way that we analyze, we using the concept of EMV, right? EMV comes from expected monetary value, right? The way that we calculate, right, for each alternative, we're going to use the payoff multiplied with the probability of that outcome and sum up. So in this case, EMV for the first alternative is going to be 200,000 multiplied with 0.4 plus 250 multiplied with 0.3 plus 300 thousand multiplied by 3, something like that. For alternative B, as second one as well, by model B, we're using 180,000 multiplied by 4 plus 220,000 multiplied by 3 plus 320,000 multiplied by 3. We have this one. So we analyze something like this. Okay. So then you're gonna have the expected payoff, expected monetary value that you're gonna have, and we're gonna select the one that provides the highest payoff. Okay. So in this case, this is 245, 234, 244,000. This one is the maximum one among these three, right? So we select this one. So it means based on this case, decision making the risk, we select the first alternative or model A. Okay, so this is like a very rough information for you about decision making and the risk. So same with the inventory. For inventory, in the case that we know about the stock out, okay, we can use the same concept, decision making under risk. But since the value is different from the previous example that I showed you for the decision making and the risk, because in that decision making and the risk, it is about the payoff that you're gonna get. But for the safety stock, we're gonna analyze based on the cost. Okay, so we're gonna calculate, right, the total expected cost, right, and the cost that's gonna happen in the case of stock out, in the case of safety stock, is gonna have two costs, right? As I mentioned, stock out cost and carrying cost. Okay, so then we consider, compare the demand during the time with the real point. Okay, let's imagine that if the demand more than real point, what happens? You don't have enough, right? You don't have enough eventually provide to the customer, right? If demand more than real point. So then in that case, you're gonna have stock out cost. On the other hand, if the real point more than demand, what happens? Real point more than demand, it means that you have some inventory remaining. So you're gonna have the carrying cost happen. Okay. If both are equally, there is no cost. Okay. So in this case, I will show you with this example about the calculate safety stock in the case that we know stock out cost. We have the company named ABO, right? Company, right? This company used EOQ model and real point analysis to set its inventory policy. The company has determined that its optimal real point is 50 units, but 50 units they calculated based on using demand multiplied with the time, right? So they expect that's gonna constant or demand, but actually it's not, right? And the optimal number of the order per year is 6. Demand during the time of this company, however, is not constant, as I said. So instead, it's followed by the property distribution showing the table 5.1. This is table 5.1. So it means that now the demand is not constant, but the demand will follow as this probability distribution in this table. So if the demand is not constant, so you cannot using demand multiplied with the time and use as a real point. Now demand followed by this probability. And if you look at this, the probability is discrete, right? It's discrete, and it shows that okay, if the demand is going to be 30, the probability going to happen is 0.2. If demand equal to 40, probability is 0.2. Demand equal to 50, probability is 0.3, 60, 0.2, and 70, 0.1, something like that. But based on their inventory policy, they're using the demand equal to 50, right, to calculate the real point. But we're not sure, maybe it's not 50, or it's 50, we don't know, because it's followed by this distribution. Right? So another information is that the stock out cost is equal to $40 per stock out, and carrying cost equal to $5 per unit per year. Please finding the revised real point, including the safety stock, which will minimize the total expected cost. So you can see the demand during time is not constant. So not constant, it probably have safety stock, right? You're gonna have like that. The point equal to demand multiplied with lead time plus safety stock. Right? Okay, what we can do here? In this case, as I mentioned that the inventory management problem in this case for the safety stock finding case of unknown stock out cost, it's going to become the decision making under risk problem. And how can we analyze about the decision making under risk? In this case, let's talk about the alternative first. What would be the alternative for this case? So alternative is going to be the real point using the demands. The price can be 30, 40, 50, 60, or 70. And also the outcomes probably is come from the demand during time. It's going to be 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70 aspect. Because we don't know which one. Right? So it's going to be the outcome that can be happen. So when we analyze this, right, we're going to using that number of units shown here to be both alternative and outcome, right? To be both alternative and outcome. So then when you analyze, you're going to see that we're going to have the alternative, right? 5 alternative, right? The price is going to be 40, 50, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70, right? And the outcomes or demand during time going to be 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70 as well. Right? We're using both the same. Right? And then we consider case by case. For example, this one, how this number comes from. If the real point is 30 units and the outcome or demand during time is 30 as well, both are equally, right? There is no cost, so that's why the cost is 0. How about the next one? Let's say I'm going to show you. If real point is 30 and demand during time is 50, here. Little point is 30, this one, but demand during time is 50, this case. Demand more than the other point, right? If demand more than the other point, you have the stock out cost. So how can we calculate the stock out cost in this case? Demand 50, the other point 30, right? You have excess, right? Demand 20. And we know from information that the stock out cost per stock out is $40, right? $40. So then if you have the 20 unit short, right, from demand, then we multiply with $40. So then stock out cost can be 4,800. Carrying cost, we don't have it, right? Because we don't have remaining inventory. So that's why we're going to have 4,800 here. How about another case as an example? If real point is 40 and demand during time is 30, this case. Little point 40 and demand during time is 30. What happened here? You have 0.1 more than demand. So then you're going to have remaining inventory, right? If you have remaining inventory, which means you're going to have the carrying cost. You don't have stock out cost. You're going to have the carrying cost. How can we calculate the carrying cost? Okay, look at this. Information about the carrying cost is said that, okay, carrying cost per unit per year is $5. So now we have remaining 10 units, right? Because the other point is 40, demand is 30. You have 10 units as a remaining inventory. So $5 per unit per year. So if you have 10 units, what would be the cost? You have $5 multiplied with 10, right? $5 multiplied with 10. So then you're going to have either 50. Oh, I forgot one thing to tell you. I'm sorry. I'm going to show you. Okay, sorry. Forgot to mention here. Go back. Okay. Real point 30 and you have the demand 50, right? Demand more than the other point, right? You have stock out cost because you have the short 20. Stock out cost is 40 per stock out. You have short 20 units, so you're using 20 multiplied with 40, right? But is that case is just for one ordering. Right? For each year, you make an order 6 order. So that's why you need to multiply with 6. Right? So then you can have 20 multiplied with 40 multiplied with 6, so that's why you have 4,800. Okay. Another case, if you have little point 40, but demand is 30. Little point more than demand, you have carrying cost because you have remaining inventory. You have excess inventory 10 units. The cost of carrying cost is $5 per year. So then you use 10 units multiplied by 5, you have 50. So that's why this you have 50. Why do we not why not be multiplied with 6 the same as the stock out cost? This is because it's already calculated per year. $5 per year already, right? Because everything we consider annual term, 1 year. So that's why for stock out cost per one order, you short 20 units. You use 20 multiplied by 40, but you have 6 orders. So that's why you need to multiply 6. But for carrying cost, the cost of carrying cost is calculated based on per unit per year already. Okay, no need to multiply 6. Okay, so that's why we're using $5 multiplied with 10. Okay, so then you have 50. And then we do this case by case. For example, if you live by 50, let's say, live by 50, and demand is 60, what happened? Live by 50, demand 60, you have short 10 units, right? So then 10 units, stock out cost is 40, right? Let me see, yeah, 40. And then what next? You have 6 orders. You consider 1 year, so that you have 2,400 this one. Or you have, let's say, 0.50, demand 30, what happened? You have remaining 20 units. Then you have 20 units multiplied with $5 per unit per year, so that's why you have 100. Okay, so in this case, you consider case by case and you fill in the table. So you're going to have all this. And don't forget that the outcome of the demand is going to be 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. We follow by this probability, right, as a discrete. 0.2, 0.2, 0.3, 0.2, and 0.1. So then we're using the concept of decision making under risk. So the first alternative, in the case that the point equal to 30 units, we're using 0.2, right, multiplied with 0. Plus 0.2 multiplied with 2,400, plus 0.3 multiplied with 4,800, plus 0.2 multiplied with 7,200, plus 0.1 multiplied with 9,600. You can have 4,320. Or how about the second alternative? The other point equal to 40, using 0.2 multiplied with 50, plus 0.2 multiplied with 0, plus 0.3 multiplied with 2,400, plus 0.2 multiplied with 4,800, and plus 0.1 multiplied with 7,200. You're going to have 2,410. You do the same thing for the third, the fourth, and the fifth alternative, and then you can have the result. Right? But in this case, we are not select the maximum EMV because this is cost. This is not the payoff. Right? The example of decision making the risk that I'm used to show you on the previous slide, the value in the table is about the payoff, right? It's about the benefit that you get, the payoff. But in this case, it's about the cost. So then once we have this, we're gonna have a little bit different because we're gonna select the alternative that provide the lowest EMV in this case, because it provides the lowest cost. So comparing all this among 5 alternatives, the last one, the other point equal to 70, provide the lowest total cost, 110. So then we select the other one to be 70. And if the other one to be 70, at first the company use the other one to be 50, right? And that 50 is calculated based on demand multiplied with time, right? So then the safety stock going to be 20. Okay. So this is why this is the safety stock in the case that we know stock out cost. So we just using the concept of decision making at the risk. Okay. You can see that it's different, right? Different from the real point, the previous model of real point, because on that model we don't have any safety stock. But for this case, when we perform using the calculation as a decision making under risk, we have the real point to be 70. And as I showed you that the real point equal to demand multiplied with time plus safety stock. This one is 50, right? This one from the calculation we have 70. So that's why safety stock can be 70 minus 50, we have 20 units. Okay? So this is a solution for safety stock. So once you see how can we calculate safety stock based on the case that we know stock out cost, is you're going to say that is not that we see much in the real world, right? Because in the real world we have no idea about stock out cost. We have no idea about it. So this case, safety stock, the calculation of safety stock in the case that you know stock out cost is very rarely case, right? Because in the real world, how can we know about stock out cost? So this is very rare case that's going to happen. So what would be the case that we see a lot in the real world? It's going to be another approach for safety stock, the case of safety stock with unknown stock out cost. So this is the most popular one. Because in the real world we have no idea, we don't know about the stock out cost. And how can we calculate or estimate the safety stock in the case that we have unknown stock out cost? We can use the concept of service level to determine that stock out, that safety stock. What is service level? Okay. You can see service level the percentage of the time that we will have the item in stock provided to the customer. So if we say that service level equal to 90%, if I said service level equal to 90%, what does it mean? It means that they have the chance of 90% of probability of 0.9, right? That you're going to have your inventory or your item provided to the customer or serve for the demand. Okay. And for sure that the service level is offset with the stock out. So if I said you have service level 90%, it means that you're going to have the probability of 10% that you're going to have the stock out occur. Okay, service level and stock out is offset. Service level 70% stock out 30%. Service level 95% stock out 5% will happen. Okay, so with this condition, so we can know that the service level is about the probability of 1 minus the probability of stock out. We can use this condition to be the one of calculate the safety stock, right, in the case of unknown stock out cost. So in order to determine the safety stock, right, we need to know about the service level and the probability of demand during lead time. But anyway, how can we know about service level? So this is about this design service level. You need to specific by your own. For example, let's say that your company, you try to find the stock, the safety stock. You need to start that. Okay, what could be the service level that you prefer, right? So then you started, okay, I prefer service level 90%. So it means that this 90% is come from you, right? You decide. You prefer to have 90%. Then you're gonna use that number to calculate the step stock. Okay, so we need to know about the service level and the property of demand during the time. But anyway, normally we're gonna using the normal distribution, right, to estimate, right, for the safety stock in the case of unknown stock out cost. Right? We assume that the demand during the time is gonna follow by the normal distribution. So here, this is the formula that we're gonna have. So the point is gonna be expected demand during the time plus Z multiplied with standard of demand during the time. Okay, you see something that very friendly, right? Actually, as I mentioned, with the point when you try to find the safety stock, we're using demand multiplied with the time, right? Plus safety stock, right? Demand multiplied with the time here is about the expected demand during the time, the same. And what does it mean? It means that this term, the one that I'm using circle, the red color, this is the safety stock. The other point equal to demand, expected demand during the time, plus safety stock. And the general case that we're going to study now, right, for the overall now, not going to the special case yet, is about, we assume that demand during the time is followed by the normal distribution, or you know about the distribution of demand during the time. Z is about the number of standard deviation, right? And standard deviation of demand during the time using sigma DLT. Right? So then safety stock going to be Z multiplied with the standard deviation of demand during the time. So the next one is going to be a little bit confused for you, but just follow me a little bit and then we're going to be fine for that. So let's talk about this example and we show you everything. We have the company's name Hinders. This company carry an items whose demand during the time follow a normal distribution with a mean 350 units and the standard deviation of 10 units. Means they want to follow a policy that the results in a service level of 95%. How much safety stock should Hinders maintain for this item? Okay, here. If you look at this probability, okay. Okay, we have X to be time. Y is to be inventory level. Now, this is the inventory level starting. When time we move on, right, for moving forward, we have the demand from customer, right? So inventory level is gonna reduce, right? Reduce. And when it reaches the middle point, what happened here? At this point, you make an order, remember? You make an order. As I show you from the previous, at the beginning of today's class, once you order, you're waiting equal to lead time, remember? You're waiting equal to lead time, right? But if this, remember, if this period during the lead time, if the demand during the time is very is constant, or you know, as you expect, when time equal to lead time, the inventory level is going to run out. Right? But if the demand during the time is not that constant, it might be something like this. In this case, what happened? Demand is not too much, right? It's very little. So you have remaining inventory when the time reaches the time. That's okay. You're gonna carry this inventory. Right. How about this one? If the demand is going like this, don't consider this one, just consider just this part. If demand going this, what happened? You have the problem of stock out before you reach this time. Right? Let's say the time equal to 10 days. once you make an order, if demand is constant as you expect, when time goes to 10 days, you're gonna have the orders received, right? And your inventory in the storage is gonna run out, right? Perfect match with the time that you're gonna receiving the inventory from or the part from your supplier, and the inventory is going up. But if it's not constant, if demand is not that much, it's very little, go to this to have remaining. But if it go to like this, you don't have any inventory at this point before you reach 10 days, remember, before you reach the time. This is the problem. Okay. So what we can do in this case, so that's why we said, okay, in order to handle this problem, we need to have the safety stock. Safety stock provide, right? So, and how can we calculate the safety stock in this case? Okay. The figure is not that good because it's not clear. I'm gonna draw in the new one for you. But right now, I want you to consider this graph of normal, and you rotate 90 degrees. Okay? This rotate 90 degrees. Okay. So it's gonna be like this. Okay. This is the distribution of demand during the time, right? If demand during the time is gonna be as you expect or equal to mean, like this, right? It's gonna at the center of distribution, right? But since we want to have the service level equal to, let's say, 95%. 95%. So it means that we want the area of the curve is 0.95, right? We need to know about the standard deviation and mean, right? So then, how can we estimate x? We don't know x is going to be what level. That makes the probability under this curve going to be 95%. We need to calculate for the z-score value. Right? This is normal distribution. Z-score is equal to x divided by x bar minus x bar divided by standard deviation. Remember? So in this case, if you look at this graph, I'm going to show you here. It's just like this, okay? This is normal, but this is 95, probably equal to 95. So the figure is like, actually it should have area like here, about 5%. Okay? Because in this case, if this one 95%, this one 5%, right? Or 5%, then you're going to have stock out, right? This is the figure of service level, 95%. You want service level 95%, so it means based on the distribution or normal distribution of demand during the time, you want to find that, okay, if area under the curve equal to the property of 0.95, what would be the number of that one or level of that one? In this case, we want to find x, right? So with level equal to 95%, it means you have 5% of stock out. This graph or this figure is the same. It's the same. Just you rotate 90 degrees, you're gonna have this. But this one is not good because it doesn't show very clear about this. Actually, you can have like the area 5% here. So you can see if during the time, if demand during the time equal to mean, it's going to go to like this, equal to mean. If it's more than mean, what happened? This is more than mean. You're gonna have the safety stock, right, to serve. But since you want the service level to be 95%, so we want to find, okay, if the demands go to this and make this one 95%, what would be the level of safety stock here? Because we want this one, the stock out cost, stock out with 5%. So, just like this one. Probably of no stock out, right? 95%, because you have a safety stock. You want the stock out just 5% because service level is 95. So what would be the safety stock and that real point, the new one? Real point, the new one is X, right? So very simple, right? Because service level is 95%, so therefore the probability of stock out is 0.05 as I mentioned. So from Z equal to X minus mu or X bar divided by standard deviation, right? So area under the curve is 0.95, so you need to open the normal distribution. Okay, this is a normal distribution, and in the exam, I will post on the course view and forgot. Oh, did you know about your grade?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. This is the best I can help you. Okay. Actually, there's few person that very close to getting an B, but I'll help you because Liverpool won, right? The probably the essay question you all did very well. Okay, not that different much, but the problem is about the multiple choice. I remember, I think someone using C for all 20 questions. No way, but they're getting high score. And also for, calculation, someone didn't do the problem of line balancing, 15 point line balancing, but the layout assigned to the workstation. I think few of you, like 5 or 6 person, didn't know to do that. And for the control chart, actually it's C chart. Right? So if using P, you can getting some credit. But if you're using X bar and R chart, no way, 0. There is no clue it's gonna be X bar and R. Okay, no point for you guys that did using X bar and R. Okay, and for forecasting, okay, you can do for calculate for moving average, exponential smoothing, that's fine. But when you do MAD, you did it wrong. Because MAD you need to sum, right? Not using just one term. You need to sum, right? Let's say I cannot remember. Let's say I ask you to calculate the MADs from September to December, something like that. You need to use the order from September plus, right, plus October plus November plus December, and then you calculate MAD. But some of you did it by using the December month to calculate MAD. So then you miss some point. And for the last one, percent capabilities, almost all you did it, okay, fine. For the MRP, right? Some of you did it wrong. Let's say you know about the net requirement, right? And you make an order, and your order is like a lot size is more than the net requirement. So you need to carry inventory on hand after that, right? But you don't have it. something like that. And I don't know, maybe you excited or something. Sometimes is this different week? You know, actually you need to have the demand on, let's say the gross requirement on week 7, but you did it on week 8 or something like that. So everything is cheap, right? So I'm gonna deduct some, but anyway, okay, that's fine. So overall, okay. This is the best I can do for you. Okay. Hopefully this course, but maybe not is difficult. Okay, go back to this. I'm gonna post this on course view. Okay, don't worry. In the exam, I'm gonna have this table for you. This is a normal distribution table. I believe that you studied that already, right? But the table I will provide for you here is about half, right? Just half. Right? So just only the z-score positive. So the number in the table is represented for the probability just beyond the mean, just like this, beyond the mean. Right? So in this case, let's say we have the U1, this is mean, right? This is X that we want to see, define. This C. You want this one 95%. You know that half of this is 0.5, right? So you just open the area of 0.45. So we look into the table, and this one is very close to 0.95, the red one here, this one, 0.4495. So it belongs to z equal to 1.64, so it's around 1.645, something like that. So that's why when you open the normal table, right, at probability of 0.95, you're gonna have the z equal to 1.645, right? And then you substitute z equal to 1.645, x and mu is mean, and the direction is 10, right? So in this case, since if you look at this graph, you can see this is mean or mu. It's the same. Okay, the same. This one mu or mu. That's it, right? And this is level x that you want to know. Right? You can see that the difference between x and mu or x and mean is going to be safety stock, right? Or in this figure, it's going to be this one. This is going to be safety stock. Because this is mean, right? Mu or mean. This is x, right? So different is safety stock. So this case, safety stock is going to be 10 multiplied with 1.645. You have around 16.45, or we might say it's around 17 units. And since the safety stock is 17 units, right? So what would be the reader point? So then the next reader point, the new reader point is you're using mean plus 17. From the problem, mean is 350. So then you can have reader point is 367. So this is the way that we estimate the safety stock in the case that we don't know stock out cost. So generally, we're using this way. But in this case, since this is the problem that we show you example about the distribution of demand during the time, right? It's gonna follow by normal distribution. But we can have another case, right? For example, if the demand during the time is not available, but you know other condition, for example, demand is variable, demand vary, and the time constant, or the case of the time is vary and demand constant, or the case that both of them are vary. What can we do then? So look at the first case. If the demand is vary, right, or variable, and the time is constant, again, you look at this. Data point is equal to average daily demand multiplied with the time plus the second term. Don't worry much. It comes from the same concept. Little point equal to, right? Demand multiplied with lead time. Remember, plus steady stop. So demand multiplied with lead time is this one, and steady stop is this term, right? So if you have no idea about the demand lead time, but you know about the demand, is demand vary. You can use demand multiplied with lead time. And this one going to be the safety stock. Again, using Z multiplied with the demand during lead time. Standardization of demand during lead time. But in this case, the standardization of demand during lead time is going to be the standardization of demand multiplied with square root lead time. So you're gonna solve this one. For example, if you don't know about the demand during lead time, but you know that demand is this demand is followed by normal distribution. The mean is 15, standardization of demand is 5, lead time is constant as 2 days. You want 90% of service level. Once again, what happened? 90% of service level, you open the normal distribution table, you can find Z equal to 1.28. Okay? Z equal to 1.28. Okay, what happened about this real point? Real point is going to be demand multiplied with lead time, remember? So you're using the mean of this demand, 15, multiplied with lead time, 2. Then you're done for the first term. For the second term, set this stop going to be Z multiplied with standard of demand during lead time. But don't forget that standardization of demand during lead time. Is this about what? This is for the Z multiplied with standardization of demand multiplied with square root lead time, right? So that's why Z you have 1.28, standardization of demand you have 5, and this one you have square root of 2. So that's why you have this term. And then once you did it, right, you call it equal to 9.02 plus the expected demand 30, you're going to have around 39.2, also around 39. In this case, service stock is around 90. So this case, so we can calculate by using this one. How about another case? Let's say that the case that lead time is varying, right? But lead time, but demand is constant. Again, the other point going to be demand multiplied with lead time plus safety stock. Expected demand, you're using this one, daily demand multiplied with lead time. And this term, the second term is safety stock. You can see that the safety stock we're using Z multiplied with daily demand multiplied with standardization of lead time. Okay, I will show you. How about this condition? You have the demand constant equal to 10. You have the demand constant equal to 10. Lead time is not constant, it's time vary, but you know about the distribution of lead time by mean of the lead time is 6 days, and standardization of lead time is 3. You want 98% of service level. So what will be the reader point and safety stock in this case? Okay, standard service level is 98%. You open the table, is equal to Z equal to 2.055, right? And how about this one? This is the demand, this is lead time, right? And this is what? This is Z. The formula is using Z multiplied the demand. And this is the standardization of lead time. So that's why we have 0 point, in this case, 122 on average, on graph, rowing up. And this is the safety stock. And how about another case? If both demand and lead time are varying, so there is no any constant of demand and lead time. Both are varying, it means both are followed by distribution, something that you need to know mean and standard deviation. The little point you can use in the average daily demand multiplied with average lead time plus Z. So this is the safety stock. This is the demand multiplied with lead time, right? And the safety stock, you can see it uses Z multiplied with standard deviation of demand during lead time, and that formula is like the crazy one. Right? You have the square root of average lead time multiplied with standard deviation of demand square plus average demand square multiplied with square root of standard deviation multiplied with standard deviation lead time square. For example, demand is not constant. Demand is followed by normal distribution. The mean of demand is 150 units. Standard deviation of demand is 16. Lead time also not constant, and the lead time is followed by the normal distribution. Standard deviation of lead time is 1 day. You want 95% of service level. 95% of service level, you open the table. Normal distribution table, we have Z equal to 1.65. So this is the result of the other point. Demand multiplied with lead time. Right? And this is Z. Right? Using Z multiplied with standard deviation of demand during lead time. But the standard deviation of demand during lead time, we need to use this formula. Right? Square root of average lead time multiplied with standard deviation of demand square plus the average demand square multiplied with standard deviation of lead time square. So then you multiply with Z, so then you have the data point is 1004 times this way. So my point is that from this everything using this formula, right? But the different condition, right? The first condition that I explained you is mean you know about the property of demand during the time. But the next three condition is about you don't know about demand during the time, but you know about that demand is gonna follow by normal distribution and the time is constant, or demand is gonna constant and the time followed by normal distribution, or both are followed by normal distribution and not constant. So, but it's come from the same formula that you're using the real part equal to expected demand during the time plus safety stock. Okay. So, one problem from this for sure, I know. Right? Yes. If you understand this, okay, you're gonna be fine, right? As I mentioned, actually, this graph is about this is 95%, this is 5%, but this is safety stock. Okay, we're right. Any questions? So, if you have the trouble here, so just using this one. This is a formula that you need to follow. For the expected demand during the time, no matter what they tell you about demand at the time, you just using demand at the time multiplied together. Okay? But for the safety stock, it's different, right? It depends on condition that demand vary, the time constant, demand constant, or the time vary, or both are vary, right? And then you're gonna follow by this. Any question for this? You can ask the question. At first, it might somehow a little bit confused, but I believe you'll be fine. Okay, so you can see in this case which one that should appear on the exam, known stock out or unknown stock out? Unknown. Yeah, for sure unknown. So forget known stock out. I will not ask you for sure in the exam, okay? But one question for sure for inventory It is about calculate the safety stock in the case that you have no idea or unknown about the stock out cost. So you can see first you start with service level, then you open for Z, and then you consider that demand at the time, which one is constant or and then you can select the formula. It's open book, open note, okay, as usual. So there is no formula for you. Just make sure that you substitute the right one. Okay, if you don't have any question, we still have another 3 models. Okay, I'm gonna start a little bit about this. Okay. Another model is called fixed order interval model. Fixed order interval model. You can see that for fixed order interval model is normally used by the retail business because you are gonna make an order at fixed time interval. For example, every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, or twice a month, something like that. You don't care right now what is you didn't calculate EOQ or this thing, but you just focus on the fixed time. For example, you're gonna make an order every day 2 of each month. So when you reach day 2, you're gonna investigate your stock, and then you make the order, something like that. So it's fixed time interval. So it's used by the retail business. The order quantity is the one that we want to calculate is about the order quantity for the next interval. And some supplier love this because it's easy to manage. You can see if you do like the retail visit every day 2 or day 3, something like that, and they're gonna come to provide you. And for sure, if you do something like this, using the fixed time or fixed interval, so you need to make sure that you have the low chance of the stock out. So if you use this case, right, probably the products that you use is quite not that volatile demand. So that's why you're gonna counting or check periodically. And for sure that if you make an order as fixed time interval, you have the high risk for stock out because, for example, you're gonna make an order every 2nd week of each month. If your stock is run out of since the 1st week, you don't know. You're gonna know in the 2nd week, knowing when the time that you investigate or counting the inventory. So this is the high risk of stock out, right? And okay, we're gonna have the benefits in this case, right? Why we do prefer, especially for the retail business, to using this model, because they can save about the ordering cost. Let's say that they investigate or counting their stock every 3rd week. So for 3rd week, they're going to the storage. They investigate, okay, which one is run out, which one that they need to make an order. If that item is can order from the same supplier, right? They can make the orders at the same time. So they save about the ordering cost, right? And for sure that it's very practical because you are not monitor real time. That is very expensive. You just monitor as an interval of the time. But they also have like disadvantages for this model. The very biggest disadvantage is about you need to have the very large safety stock. Why you need to have the very large safety stock? Because you have the high risk or high percent of stock out, because you are not monitoring real time. you make an order or you check the stock as a fixed interval time. So you have a very high chance of stock out. So that's why you need more safety stock. So the safety stock are very large. So once you have safety stock very large, what happens? You're gonna have the carrying cost getting higher and higher. Right? And you're gonna have the cost of review as well. Even though that you're using it at a fixed time, but you still have to provide that cost. And I'm gonna stop here for a break. And once we come back for the break, we're gonna talk about this. 15 minutes. Okay, please have a break.